Alright, so we had done up till this point. We had to start from greenhouse effect. So since we had to start from greenhouse effect, सबसे पहले तो यही देख लो कि the concept of greenhouse gases was postulated by this person, a person called Fourier. So this was the person who actually introduced the concept of greenhouse gases. Now, it basically means increase in the atmospheric temperature due to the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Also, increase in temperature of Earth due to concentration of gases in the atmosphere. So, greenhouse effect is the increase in global temperature, and greenhouse effect is the process of heating the atmosphere by absorption of infrared radiations by atmospheric carbon dioxide. And the United Nations Climate Action Summit 2019, now you don't have to know 2019 wala, perhaps you can remember the latest version of United Nations Climate Action Summit. Where did that take place? So where did United Nations, the latest one is going to be 2024, the UN Climate Change Conference, no, Climate Action Summit, and that too for the 2024. Where did that take place? So I think that's a different thing. It's suggesting me something else. Anyways, the COP29 or the UN Climate Conference or the COP29 happened in Baku, Azerbaijan, which was concluded on 24th of November 2024 with an agreement calling on developed countries to deliver at least 300 billion per year to developing countries by 2035 to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and protect the lives and livelihoods from worsening impacts of climate change. Since we are not going to lay importance on this old stale data, however, you can still write here somewhere that the COP29 that happened the latest in November 2024 in Baku, Azerbaijan, that was the COP29 of UNFCCC, and it called for the mobilization of $300 billion by the developed countries to be mobilized for the developing countries by the year 2035 to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and protect the lives and livelihoods of people. So that was the latest UNFCCC COP29 that happened in Baku, Azerbaijan. That is all you should remember. Now, 21st United Nations Climate Change Conference held in the year. Again, that is not important. The latest one I've already told you. The main reason of climate change is greenhouse gases, depletion of ozone layer, as well as pollution. Okay, so once again I'm telling you the concept of greenhouse gas was postulated by this person called Fourier. Okay, moving on. So Kyoto Protocol is related to climate change, and the following statements are correct. Kyoto Protocol came into force in the year 2005, and methane as a greenhouse gas is more harmful than carbon dioxide. How can you say that? Methane as a greenhouse gas is more harmful than carbon dioxide. I think methane exists for a longer period of time in the atmosphere compared to carbon dioxide. I'll just check that. Methane as a greenhouse gas is more harmful than carbon dioxide. What is the reason behind that? So methane traps heat in the atmosphere 28 times more effectively than carbon dioxide per molecule. Also, methane lasts in the atmosphere for about a decade, while carbon dioxide lasts for centuries or thousands of years. So these are the okay. So there is a concept called global warming potential. So methane global warming potential is 28 times that of CO2, that is carbon dioxide, and the other thing is atmospheric lifetime of methane. So methane lasts in the atmosphere for about a decade, while carbon dioxide lasts for centuries. So which one is more, in that sense, which one is more lethal? Of course, methane exists for shorter. Let me ask that specifically. Methane has a shorter atmospheric lifetime than carbon dioxide. Is that a true statement? Yes, methane has a shorter atmospheric lifetime than CO2. So you can add that point over here. But methane lives lesser, okay, in atmosphere. So that is enough. So the global warming potential for methane is 28 times that of CO2. But if we talk about the lifetime, then methane exists for lesser amount of time. The following are correctly matched. So Cartagena Protocol is related to biosafety and preserving the genetic diversity. Stockholm Convention is related to the persistent organic pollutant. Okay. Then Montreal Protocol is related to the ozone layer, and Kyoto Protocol is related to climate change. Now, greenhouse effect is enhanced in the environment due to greenhouse gases, which are mainly nitrous oxide, chlorofluorocarbon, carbon dioxide. Among Thailand, China, Singapore, and Malaysia, the following country has announced to impose carbon tax from 2019 to cut its greenhouse gas emissions. So that is Singapore. Now, mind you, Singapore is not the only or the first country in this regard, but as mentioned, out of these countries, namely Thailand, China, Singapore, and Malaysia. So you can, in a broader sense, you can say that amongst Southeast Asian economies or countries, which country has proactively announced to impose carbon tax since 2019? So it is Singapore. All right. Among CO2, CH4, NO2, and oxygen, following gas is not a greenhouse gas. So oxygen is not a greenhouse gas. Among oxygen, carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons, and methane, the following is not a greenhouse gas. Again, oxygen. The main component of greenhouse gases are, so it is CO2 and methane. Methane also has global warming potential, hence it is a greenhouse gas. Nitrous oxide and chlorofluorocarbons. And apart from these, there are certain more greenhouse gases, including water vapor as well. Okay. The following gas has the highest contribution in the global warming. So it is CO2. Are you sure? Is it that? Because there were a couple of gases like NF3 and SF6, which were discovered a little later. By later, I mean after 2005. So I think they are related to Montreal Protocol. I'll check that later. Among the carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, and water vapor, the following naturally occurring greenhouse gas causes the highest percentage of greenhouse effect. So if we only talk about carbon dioxide, methane, ओजोन एंड वाटर वेपर, इन चार में से सबसे ज़्यादा परसेंटेज ऑफ ग्रीन हाउस इफेक्ट कौन कॉज करता है? सो इट इज़ वाटर वेपर, perhaps because it is present in the largest amount in the atmosphere. The following gases are most important for the greenhouse effect: carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, water vapor. The following is not a greenhouse gas. Propane is not a greenhouse gas. Among the chlorofluorocarbon, carbon dioxide, argon, and methane, the following gas is not responsible for global warming. So argon is not responsible for global warming, whereas chlorofluorocarbon hai, carbon dioxide hai, even methane, so they are responsible for global warming. The following statement regarding the emission reduction purchase agreement signed with the World Bank is not correct. So the agreement has been signed between the World Bank and the government of India. So this is not correct. So what is the correct statement? Let me read about that. The emission reduction purchase agreement. Emission reduction purchase agreement. So ERPA is a legally binding contract that allows one party to deliver verified carbon credits to another. Okay, so the agreement has been signed between the World Bank and Government of India. India has not signed, is it? So where can I find that? India not to sign the legally binding pacts on emission cuts. There is an article on that. India not up for legally binding pact on emission cuts. So let me read that. This is an older news. So India will not sign any legally binding global agreement for emissions reduction. Mind you, this is an older article of 2011. As the country needs to eradicate poverty through economic growth, Environment Minister said. Now, is there anything else? So you can just remember that there was such agreement rolled out by the World Bank, ERPA, Emission Reduction Purchase Agreement, and India did not sign that back in the year 2011. Now, with reference to net zero goal for 2050, the following statement is correct. Net zero goal. It means that a country's emission will be compensated by absorption and removal of greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. Net zero means ये नहीं होता है कि emission रोक दोगे. Emission कुछ तो होगा, बट उसके compensatory aspect में उतना तुम कुछ ऐसा कर दोगे sequester या जो कि उसके बराबर होगा, ठीक है. It means that a country's emissions will be compensated by absorption, and by absorption here I mean carbon absorption and removal of greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. The following gas is both harmful and beneficial to life. So carbon dioxide, CO2. Today the largest contributor of CO2 emissions is China. The following country is known as carbon negative country in the world. So Bhutan is the only country, I think, which is a carbon negative country. The following substance does not contribute to global warming directly. So oxides of sulfur. That's a very good question, and it has to be marked in the second revision perhaps, that the oxides of sulfur, they do not contribute to global warming directly, but oxides of sulfur, they do not contribute to the global warming directly, but they can make certain compounds such as sulfur, like SF6, which can then cause global warming. The following is not a greenhouse gas. So sulfur dioxide is not a greenhouse gas. That is what I was saying, that oxides of sulfur, they do not cause global warming. They do not cause global warming. Similarly, sulfur dioxide is not a greenhouse gas. The following gases are responsible for global warming, that is carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons, etc. The following is not a greenhouse gas. Similar to sulfur dioxide, even hydrogen is not a greenhouse gas. The following is not, nitrogen is also not a greenhouse gas. Among nitrogen, methane, carbon dioxide, and carbon monoxide, the following gas is most responsible for global warming. So it is carbon dioxide. अगर इसको कंपेयर करोगे, देखो नाइट्रोजन तो है ही नहीं ग्रीन हाउस गैस, मेथेन है, ठीक है, एंड मेथेन है, ओके, एंड कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड, द मोस्ट रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर ग्लोबल वार्मिंग इज कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड. अभी मैंने क्या बताया था, मेथेन एग्जिस्ट्स फॉर अ लेसर अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम, ठीक है. अब यहाँ पे मुझे थोड़ा डाउट लग रहा है, बिकॉज मेथेन का 28 टाइम्स ज़्यादा ग्लोबल वार्मिंग पोटेंशियल है. ये तो हमने ऊपर देखा था. मेथेन has a shorter atmospheric lifetime. Methane as a greenhouse gas is more harmful than carbon dioxide. This, I read that methane traps the heat in the atmosphere 28 times more effectively than the carbon dioxide per molecule, and in that sense, it causes greater global warming. But then, if we factor in the amount of the concentration or the entire volume of methane present on the globe or the entire atmosphere of Earth, in that sense, I think carbon dioxide becomes the most greenhouse or global warming causing gas, because owing to its greater concentration in the atmosphere compared to methane. But अगर per molecule की बात की जाएगी तो फिर methane जाएगा. The total amount of greenhouse gases produced to directly and indirectly support human activities is referred to as carbon footprint. The following is not correctly matched. So greenhouse and chlorofluorocarbon. एक सेकेंड. अच्छा, तो द फॉलोइंग इज, हाँ, तो क्लोरोफ्लोरोकार्बन ऑटोमोबाइल से तो नहीं निकलता है, ठीक है, वो रेफ्रिजरेंट्स से निकलता है. अमंग मेथेन, नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड, क्लोरोफ्लोरोकार्बन एंड हाइड्रोजन, द फॉलोइंग इज नॉट अ ग्रीन हाउस गैस. सो क्लोरोफ्लोरोकार्बन, एक सेकेंड, is a greenhouse gas. Hydrogen is not a greenhouse gas. As a result of global warming, there has been melting of glaciers, flowering of mango trees before time, that is premature maturation, adverse impact on the human health. The following are impacts of global warming: rise in sea level, melting of glaciers, spread of diseases, bleaching of coral reefs. The following conditions indicate the impact of global warming. ये तो वही सब है. Now, ये सारे global warming is due to the increase in carbon dioxide, ठीक है. Now the following crop is most important anthropogenic source of both methane and nitrous oxide, that is rice. तो यहाँ से ये पता चल रहा है कि जो राइस होता है वो ना सिर्फ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड ही नहीं एमिट करता है, बट नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड भी निकालता है, विच इज़ ऑल्सो अ ग्लोबल वार्मिंग कॉजिंग गैस और ग्रीन हाउस गैस. Now the following is the most fragile ecosystem that will be first affected by global warming, that is marine or Arctic. I mean, वो not marine, the polar, ठीक है. The increasing amount of carbon dioxide in the air is slowly raising the temperature of atmosphere because it absorbs the infrared part of the solar radiation. वो जो, और वो भी infrared basically जो gets reflected back from the Earth's surface, which is the long wave infrared, ठीक है. It gets trapped by the Earth's own atmosphere containing larger amounts of carbon dioxide. Now the source of methane gas as a major greenhouse gas तो ये rice fields है. कोल माइनिंग से भी निकलता है CH4. डोमेस्टिक एनिमल्स से निकलता है वो क्या बोलते हैं, रूमिनेंट्स, और वेटलैंड्स, मार्शी एरियाज. और ये क्या है, टर्मिटरी क्या होता है, व्हाट इज़ टर्मिटरी? अनदर टर्म फॉर टर्मिटेरियम. व्हाट इज़ द मीनिंग ऑफ टर्मिटरी? इज ऑल्सो नोन एज अ टर्मिटरी. और द वर्ड was फर्स्ट, अच्छा दीमक है ये, वो जो दीमक के पहाड़ बन जाते हैं, आई थिंक वही है ये, उससे भी निकलता है ये मेथेन. अच्छा, ये नहीं पता था मुझे. दीमक के जो पहाड़ जो नेशनल पार्क वगैरह में देखते हैं, उससे भी CH4 निकलता है, विच इज़ अ ग्रीन हाउस गैस. मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट गैस विच इज़ प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय पैडी फील्ड्स एंड इज इन्वॉल्व इन ग्लोबल वार्मिंग, सो दैट इज़ मेथेन. एंड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट गैस विच इज़ एमिटेड बाय the paddy fields and increases the Earth's temperature, that is methane. The following gases are released in the atmosphere due to the burning of crop or biomass residue, that is कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड तो निकलता ही है, भले छोटी मात्रा में निकलता हो, बट सबसे भारी मात्रा में मैथेन निकलता है. ये बर्निंग की बात हो रही है, नॉट द पैडी ग्रोथ. तो जहाँ बर्न होगा वहाँ तो इनकम्प्लीट कंबशन के कारण कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड निकलेगा ही और सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड निकलेगा. हालांकि दिस इज़ नॉट इंटायरली डायरेक्टली कॉजिंग ग्लोबल वार्मिंग एंड ग्रीन हाउस गैस. ठीक है. मैथेन करता है, कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड करता है क्या? इस कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड ग्रीन हाउस गैस, इस कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड, yes, carbon monoxide is a weak greenhouse gas, but it has indirect effects that contribute to global warming. So it is a weak, carbon monoxide is a weak greenhouse gas. You can write here, carbon monoxide is a weak greenhouse gas. And so ये जो stubble burning होती है उसमें CO कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड निकलेगा, ओजोन निकलेगा और मैथेन निकलेगा, सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड निकलेगा. ठीक है. नाउ द फॉलोइंग ह्यूमन एक्टिविटी इज मोस्ट अफेक्टेड बाय क्लाइमेट. ठीक है. फार्मिंग. द ग्रीन हाउस गैस लिबरेटेड बाय curd chewing animal, that is methane. The following statements regarding Earth are correct. It is a movement in which the participants switch off the lights for 1 hour on a certain day every year. That is correct. It is a movement to raise awareness about climate change and the need to save the planet. Correct. With reference to the New York Declaration on Forest, the following statements are correct. So it was first endorsed at the United Nations Climate Summit in 2014. It endorses a global timeline to end the loss of forests. It is a legally binding international declaration. So न्यू यॉर्क डिक्लेरेशन ऑन फॉरेस्ट, तो इसमें एक मोटा मोटा ये समझ लो, क्योंकि ये पुराना हो गया है तो बट स्टिल आ सकता है बिकॉज इट इज़ अ लीगली बाइंडिंग ग्लोबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट. एंड एक तरह से डेडलाइन तैयार करता है, टाइमलाइन एज वेल एज डेडलाइन टू एंड द लॉस ऑफ फॉरेस्ट. और ये इट वाज फर्स्ट एंडोर्स इन 2014 एट द यूनाइटेड नेशंस क्लाइमेट समिट. वही 2014 जो COP हुआ था UNFCCC का, उसी में. तो न्यूयॉर्क डिक्लेरेशन ऑन फॉरेस्ट्स, इट्स अ लीगली बाइंडिंग इंस्ट्रूमेंट, रिमेंबर दैट. एंड इट प्रिपेयर्स अ टाइमलाइन टू एंड द लॉस ऑफ फॉरेस्ट. एंड इट वाज फर्स्ट एंडोर्स्ड 2014 में. द यूनाइटेड नेशंस फ्रेमवर्क climate change ratified by 198 countries became effective on March 21st, 1994. So you can remember, एक तो ये इक्विनॉक्स वाला दिन होता है और उसी दिन 1994 को स्टार्ट हुआ था ये तुम्हारा, UNFCCC was ratified. ठीक है. The place of India among 58 countries of the world as per 2017 Climate Change Performance Index. अब ये छोड़ो, ये करंट अफेयर्स का है. Now India's first national action plan, ये कब आया था? 2008 में आया था. Now climate change is leading to an increase in social tension in India. Climate change is leading to an increase in social tension, correct? The frequency and intensity of the extreme weather events will have serious repercussions on food security. That is also correct. And it is also linked correctly. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct reason as well. Greenhouse gas protocol, ये क्या है? It is an international accounting tool for government and business leaders to understand, quantify and manage greenhouse gas emissions. Greenhouse gas protocol, ठीक है. The following statements are correct. Kyoto Protocol came into force in the year 2005. Yes. Kyoto Protocol primarily deals with reducing overall greenhouse gas emissions. Yes. And अभी थोड़ा पहले हमने देखा था कि UNFCCC came into inception on 21st of March 1994. It was ratified by 198 countries. 21st of March 1994, whereas Kyoto Protocol got completely implemented in the year 2005. With reference to the agreement of UNFCCC meeting in Paris 2015, the following statement is correct. So the agreement aims to limit the greenhouse gas emissions so that the rise in average global temperature by the end of this century does not exceed 2 degree or 1.5 degree Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. जो pre-industrial level था वहाँ से लेके 1.5 डिग्री या 2 डिग्री सेल्सियस से ज़्यादा नहीं बढ़ना चाहिए global temperature compared to the pre-industrial levels and 100 साल के अंदर, मतलब इस सेंचुरी के अंत तक. In the context of India's preparation for climate smart agriculture, the following statements are correct. The climate smart village approach in India is a part of project led by the Climate Change, Agriculture and Food Security and International Research Program. The project of CCAFS is carried out under the Consultative Group on International Agricultural Research headquartered in France. यूजुअली दो स्टेटमेंट्स ऐसे आते हैं बहुत लंबे, तो वो तो सही होते हैं. ठीक है. और क्लाइमेट स्मार्ट विलेज अप्रोच इन इंडिया, ये इट इज़ अ पार्ट ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट लेड बाय क्लाइमेट चेंज, एग्रीकल्चर एंड फूड सिक्योरिटी। ठीक है, अब एक पॉइंट और है ये आइक्री सैट के बारे में। देखो जो कहाँ है, मेरे ख्याल से हैदराबाद में है क्या आइक्री सैट? वेयर इज़ आइक्री सैट? इट इज़ इन हैदराबाद, तेलंगाना। एंड the International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics in India is one of the CGIAR's research center. And what is the full form of CGIAR? That is consultative. What is that? CGIAR, Consultative Group on International Agricultural Research, headquartered in France. और उसका रीजनल सेंटर हैदराबाद में आइक्रीसैट है। ठीक है। Among Algeria, Brazil, Kenya and India, the following country does not have a global atmosphere watch station to collect data on world temperatures. तो इंडिया के पास ये नहीं है। Among Algeria, Brazil, Kenya and India, the following country does not have a global atmosphere watch station to collect data on the world temperatures. So India does not have that. The following statement is not true about the clean development mechanism. It prohibits developed countries from investing in projects in developing countries. नहीं, ये तो बिल्कुल इसका उल्टा होता है. It actually enables the developed countries to invest in green technologies in the developing countries to reduce their emissions. That is the purpose of CDM and it is a part of Kyoto Protocol. ठीक है. So अब ये लेक्चर यहाँ रोकते हैं और इसमें ये एक चीज़ लास्ट में देखना है कि ग्लोबल एटमॉस्फेयर वॉच स्टेशन किन किन देशों के पास है। ठीक है, ग्लोबल एटमॉस्फेयर वॉच स्टेशन